The 2022 win has once again consolidated the fact that the magic of the Prime Minister remains intact. The Prime Minister, remember, campaigned aggressively in the state, hardly leaving any opportunity for opposition parties to make inroads in his home state. For the Congress, it will close 2022 with a handful of problems because it's managed to bag only 17 seats. Remember, a party needs at least 10% strength to send a leader of opposition. So while the BJP has consolidated its position in Gujarat, is Gujarat now proving to be a state with no opposition?
मैंने वादा किया था कि भूपेंद्र नरेंद्र का रिकॉर्ड तोड़े, इसलिए नरेंद्र जी जान से मेहनत करेगा। और गुजरात की जनता ने तो रिकॉर्ड तोड़ने में भी रिकॉर्ड कर दिया, सारे रिकॉर्ड तोड़ दिए।
So what does this saffron surge then mean, not just for the BJP, but for the other political parties as we move towards 2024? One thing is very, very clear. The Prime Minister is an undisputed frontrunner as far as 2024 is concerned. Because what the BJP has now managed to do, it's a formidable, undiminished sway of the Prime Minister as far as his home state is concerned. And it's also important to note that considering the fact the BJP had been in power, there was no sense of callousness on the ground. In fact, it was the opposite that we saw. A 27-year rule of the BJP in Gujarat. And this is what I'm pointing to. There was no fatigue. There was no anti-incumbency. When you spoke to people on the ground, they were said, कोई issues ही नहीं है, मुद्दे ही नहीं है. Support for the BJP, for the Prime Minister, it was seen across regions, across castes, across religious groups. But what does this then mean as far as the Congress party and other political parties are concerned? The Congress was decimated. As I said, what about the opposition in the state of Gujarat is a big question mark. The home turf of the Prime Minister has been secured. The BJP has won time and space for the 2024 big battle. But as I said, this is the larger picture. Let's now talk to you about as far as the regions where the BJP managed to make inroads. And I said it was every possible region, caste, every possible calculation that you could get in, the BJP had managed to make inroads. This was the overall picture, 156 out of the 182. It was plus of 57 because last time, remember, they were just reduced to 99. The Congress was reduced to just 17. They lost 60 of what they've seen in 2017. The AAP, which is seen as a relatively new entrant, was just about 5. But now I want to talk to you about the areas where the BJP managed to make a lot of inroads. Let's first begin as far as the Patidar-dominated seats were concerned. Now remember, this was a huge concern as far as the BJP is concerned because in 2017, the Patidar agitation was at its highs. There was agrarian crisis. So because of all of that, the BJP had lost a lot of these seats. But here, just look at it. It's managed to bring all those seats back to that tally. So out of 39, they got 34, which means plus of 12 of what we'd seen in 2017. The Congress got just 2, which means a reduction of about 15. But that's just about as far as the Patidar domination is concerned. If I just show you as far as the tribal domination is concerned, you will see exactly the same picture there as well. So out of 30 seats, the BJP managed to get 26, which means upwards of 14 of what we'd seen in 2017. For the Congress, again, they were just reduced to 3, which means a reduction of almost 12 seats. And this was a picture that we saw in almost every filter that you will see as I move forward. Now let me show you as far as the milk cooperative seats is concerned. This of course was again a huge concern. Here again, the BJP got 28 out of the 40 seats, which means upwards of 11. The Congress got just 10, a reduction of 12 seats. What was very interesting to also note here was, there is a certain perception that the Muslims don't vote for the BJP. But just look at those numbers. Out of the 12 Muslim-dominated seats, the BJP got 10 and upwards of 4. The Congress got just 2, which means a reduction of 4. So as I said, every possible filter that you see, as far as the map of Gujarat is concerned, it saw a saffron surge, which means the BJP must have done something right. So over the next 30 minutes, we want to understand what has the BJP done that has ensured that there was no anti-incumbency even after 25 years. We will decode an unprecedented saffron surge. Let me also now bring in our guests. We'll shortly be joined by the political spokespersons of the Congress as well as the BJP. But as of now, I do have the spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Priyanka Kakkar. We have Rashid Kidwai, author and senior journalist. I also have psephologist of C4, Premchand Palati. Good to have all of you on the broadcast with us. Premchand ji, I'd like to begin the conversation with you as we try and establish a connection with our political representatives as well. When analysts had started analyzing factors, X factors, what could the possible result be, they'd all said that the biggest hurdle for the BJP will be anti-incumbency, because it's almost unimaginable that 25 years, 27 years, how come people don't have any issues on the ground? How has the BJP managed to change the tag from anti-incumbency to pro-incumbency? How has that happened?
See, I have done elaborate survey in Gujarat. I covered almost all the constituencies, each of 182 constituency. So there are 6 major factors. The most important, of course, is the image of larger than life image of Prime Minister Modi and his connect with the voters. The second is the excellent booth management of BJP. The organization is very strong. The third is weak leadership of Congress party, and they were not putting the required effort. Fourth factor, the split in opposition votes, entry of Aam Aadmi Party may not be a major factor, but it maybe gave advantage of around 20 seats to BJP. Then the performance of government was also reasonably good. When we did this survey, majority of the voters were happy with the performance of the government. Of course, unemployment and high prices of essential commodities was a major issue among some section of the society, but by and large, they were happy with the performance, the development work of the government, and they didn't see an alternate in Congress or Aam Aadmi Party. They made huge promises, Aam Aadmi Party, freebies and all, but they said even if we elect this MLA, they were sure that BJP is going to form the government in the state. So electing the MLA makes no sense, because they are not. He's not going to deliver any of the promise unless there is a CM of Aam Aadmi Party. So that thing went against Aam Aadmi Party, and of course.
Premchand ji, you've listed out some very important factors, but another pattern that was very crucial to watch out for, and it usually becomes interesting for a state like Gujarat, is the vote share. Now, many analysts and a lot of exit polls also, they said that okay, even if the BJP manages to go beyond that 99 as far as the total tally is concerned, what about the vote share? क्या बीजेपी का वोट शेयर कम होगा या ऑपोजिशन का वोट शेयर स्प्लिट हो जाएगा? तो दो चीज तो बहुत क्लियर हो गई कि बीजेपी का वोट शेयर को तो कुछ नहीं हुआ है, ऑपोजिशन का जो वोट शेयर था वही स्प्लिट हुआ है.
Yes, BJP's vote share increased by 3 percentage points, and all the exit polls predicted that there will be some decrease in most of the exit polls predicted there will be a decline in vote share. It didn't happen. Actually, vote increased by 3%. It's a great achievement for BJP. And then, of course, another factor I missed out was the religious polarization. Hindutva still is a factor in Gujarat, and people voted on those lines also. So all these factors combined helped BJP to get such a massive mandate.
Okay. We'll talk about, is this setting tone for 2024? Where does it leave the other political parties, but I also believe we do have the representatives of the BJP and the Congress also now joining us. RP Singh of the BJP, I can see him. I can also see Lavanya Balal, spokesperson of the Congress party. Good to have both of you also joining us on this debate. Lavanya, let me come to you. There is no better way of saying this. There's no nicer way of saying this. It was the absolute decimation as far as the Congress party is concerned. Today, the question that is being raised is, will Gujarat even have opposition? What happened?
There are a lot of questions that Congress in Gujarat needs to answer. Why we didn't maintain, why were we incapable of holding on to our seats? One of the reasons also, last time we had the Patidar issue that was boiling and we had their leaders on our side, and I think that contributed a percentage of our seats. Having said that, yes, like the media has been talking about Modi magic that worked in Gujarat, which didn't work in Himachal Pradesh, which didn't work in Delhi, has worked in, I think, Gujarat. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Prime Minister has gone all out in his campaign in Gujarat. He went all out in Himachal Pradesh also. In fact, he called Himachal Pradesh a second home. That didn't help. JP Naddaji's home state, and that didn't help. We had two chief ministers of the BJP campaigning in Himachal Pradesh. That didn't work. Yes, if we are talking about Modi magic, we also should question why is the BJP giving credit of all success only to Modi ji and not the failures to Modi ji? Because 7th and 8th, we saw Delhi and Himachal Pradesh as well. So why is the failures of these two states not being contributed to Modi ji? Why only Gujarat is being contributed to Mr. Modi?
Okay, I'll let the BJP representative respond to that. But what I want to understand is, we've all spoken about factors that have gone into making Gujarat and the numbers that we have seen. But you, within the Congress, now that you've had some time to look at the numbers, regroup and understand what went wrong, when you're saying the BJP and Prime Minister Modi went all out, this is nothing new. This is exactly how the BJP functions. They do exactly the same for a municipal election. They do that for the state election, for assembly elections, for general elections. If this is a pattern that is known by the Congress party, why did the Congress party not do something similar? Why did we not see your top leadership on the ground?
We did see our top leadership. Mr. Kharge ji, our president, was in Gujarat. He was campaigning in Gujarat. A lot of our top leaders were working in Gujarat. It's not like they haven't worked. They have worked in Gujarat. And there are a lot of, answers that is coming in as to why we failed in Gujarat. The party is asking questions and the leaders are being held responsible. If you have noticed, our in charge for Gujarat sent in his resignation yesterday for the Gujarat failure. So yes, the party is holding the leaders responsible. Party is not letting it slide. We are still collating all the information as to why we couldn't hold on to our seats in Gujarat. It's a very expensive lesson for the party.
But Lavanya, that's what I'm saying. Yes, you're taking responsibility. That's because a clear mandate has been given by the people and you're respecting that mandate. But essentially what I'm trying to understand is your strong bastions, your areas, like the urban areas, they're always seen as the guard of the BJP. So that's what we saw reflect in areas like Surat, Jamnagar, Rajkot, all of these areas. But even the rural areas, there was a complete change. In 2017, that area showed a large number of Congress presence that has been completely taken over by the BJP. So it's not just about you adding seats as far as your total vote share is concerned or your total seats are concerned, but not being able to even hold on to what was seen as a strong hold of the Congress. Why is that happening?
Yes. We had two new players, AAP and AMIM, in the fray, which were also eating into the Congress votes. So everywhere, whenever you have seen these two new parties coming in, we have seen how much of the vote share of Congress that they eat into. They are not eating into the BJP vote share anywhere. They have not eaten into BJP vote share in Punjab or in Delhi. They are only eating into the Congress vote share. So that is one of the factors that why Congress has such low numbers.
RP Singh, let me also bring you in the conversation. Of course, this is a time for celebration as far as the BJP is concerned. Congratulations all around to every worker and the top leadership as well. This is something that has baffled a lot of people, that how come we're seeing numbers like these? I do know that the top leadership of the BJP at some point had stopped putting out numbers. They didn't want to say 130, 150, 160, but upwards of 150. Also retaining your vote share and only increasing it. Is it something that the BJP anticipated?
Well, thank you, Rhythm, for calling me for the debate. See, let's understand one thing very clearly. People vote for work which you do, the policies, and how much you are able to implement those policies. Basically, people vote for that. And also for the leader. In Gujarat, we have leaders also. We have a Prime Minister as a leader from Gujarat also. And also policies which have benefited people at large. And also that how each and every section has been benefited, right from farmers to the traders, or from the youth to the working women also. I'll give you one example and you will probably understand from that. Gujarat, every village has a 3-phase electricity, which means there are small industries which are there in Gujarat in village level also. That's why there's a turnaround in the rural vote also. This is not there in any part of the country. This is only in Gujarat. And this was initiated by Prime Minister Modi ji, and it is yielding results now. But leave that aside. You just now, I was going through your initial program where you said that even Muslims dominated seat has voted for BJP. It clearly shows that people try to divide it on caste, color, religion. But one thing which unifies all of them is the benefits which they get from the government scheme. For example, 5 lakh health insurance to every family, which benefits every EWS family, benefits also Muslim families also. Or Kisan Samman Nidhi benefits the Muslim farmers also. It doesn't differentiate between the Hindu farmer and the Muslim farmer. But my earlier panelist was telling about Himachal. Himachal, we lost by 0.9%. We accept the defeat. There has been a inner party problem there, and we accept that we will work it out, and we accept in the defeat.
Okay.
But 0.9% to double the difference in Gujarat. The difference in Gujarat is almost double.
No. To be fair, we'll give the Congress party due credit because they have won Himachal Pradesh. So the BJP will have to look at, once again RP Singh, so the BJP will have to look at what's not worked in their favour for Himachal. But Gujarat is a completely different story for multiple reasons, as I said. One, these are numbers that the BJP themselves hadn't seen and no other party has also seen. Also, this is a state where you're talking about 25 years of anti-incumbency. If that hasn't managed to cause a dent, then you have to give it to the BJP that they're doing something right to keep people happy despite all the changes that are taking place and the new entrants that we're seeing in that space as well. And this is where I want to bring in Priyanka Kakkad as well. Priyanka, I know I spoke to a lot of representatives of the Aam Aadmi Party when the MCD elections results came out, and they said this is just the beginning for us. This is going to give us a big fillip. Yes. But as far as Gujarat is concerned, you said you've become a national party. There was a lot of hope as far as Gujarat is concerned for you because of some sort of success that you had seen as far as Surat local elections were concerned. But that didn't get reflected in the numbers that we saw yesterday, because even areas like Surat, where the Aam Aadmi Party was hoping to make a dent, was completely swept away by the BJP.
Ridhima, good evening to everyone. Ridhima, I disagree. When BJP contested for the first time in Gujarat in 1985, it scored 15% vote share and 11 seats. And before that, they had a Jansang. They were not just a raw BJP. And we have contested first time, and here we are with a spectacular 13% vote share, which I disagree with belongs to the Congress, because Congress can't stake claim. There is no clarity which vote share came to us. I don't know how they come to this, that it is our vote share. It is high time that they correct their house in order. I believe in Himachal, there are already problems between two camps, namely being the Pratibha Singh ji camp and the Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu camp. So Congress should really introspect and not blame here and there. Nobody can stop us from contesting wherever we want. We are a political party with all our rights. One thing. And also, I must tell you that of the 5 seats that we have won, only 1 belonged to Congress earlier. And we've come second at 32 places. We are also a national party now. Coming to why, I mean, congratulations to the BJP for such a spectacular record in Gujarat, which they could not perform in Himachal and Delhi. But you know why that happened, Ritima, is because both Congress and Gujarat were working together against the Aam Aadmi Party in Gujarat. And why I say this, that two facts which are available in the public domain. Let me speak. Ritima, you let everyone speak.
But I'm letting you speak only. But I'm saying this A team, B team, though, Priyanka, we've gone beyond that.
I'm giving you evidence. One is their candidate, Congress candidate. Since they want to introspect, maybe they should begin with this. One is their candidate Lalit Vasoya, who went around campaigning that if you don't want to vote for Congress, it's all right. Do not vote for the Aam Aadmi Party. Please vote for the BJP. One is that. Secondly, there is their leader in Gujarat, Rambhai Mangokia, who today has on TV said, on record said that it appears to him that the BJP intentionally let the Congress win in Himachal so that no questions and eyebrows are raised on Gujarat. That is his statement. Everyone can check it. So we were 360 versus 180. And therefore, उनके गढ़ में हम बड़े हैं, तो गुजरात मॉडल में गड़बड़ तो दिख ही रही है, because he is a winner today. So I will not go into the fact that farmers are only getting 3 hours of electricity still. I will not go into the fact that berozgari and unemployment remains the highest mudda still. I won't go into the fact that it has the highest number of inflation. Thank you. He's acknowledging by clapping. He agrees to everything I say. So there is also
RP Singh, quick rebuttal, and then I want to bring in Rashid also. Quick rebuttal.
ये चुनाव सभा नहीं है, ये
सच
डिबेट
बोल
है।
रही हूँ सर, सच ही तो बोलिए, क्या गलत बताया, बताइए कौन सा पॉइंट गलत है, बताइए।
चुनाव सभा हिमाचल में नोटा से कम आया, पता है?
अरे सर,
नोटा से
आपके
कम।
पता है सर, आपके तमिलनाडु में 2016 में 180 सीटों पे जमानत जब्त हुई है, पता है आपको? आपको पता है केरला में 2021 में 84 सीटों पे जमानत जब्त हुई है, पता है आपको?
अच्छा, let's stick to Gujarat, please. Quick rebuttal, RP Singh.
सर और गिना सकती हूँ।
Priyanka, let him respond. RP Singh.
I'm shocked you call people for debate and they start giving lectures as if they're giving lecture in some Ramadan local meeting from some.
Okay. I'm giving fair time to everybody. RP Singh, she also heard you patiently. Quick rebuttal, then I want to bring in Rashid also. He's been patiently waiting.
But why give rhetoric?
Okay. Priyanka, let him respond. RP Singh.
That I have seen that paper which Mr. Kejriwal has written that 20 seats to BJP and rest all to us.
11 times that Amit Shah ji wrote that that BJP will win. I will also bring out that paper, sir. 11 times since 2018.
Okay.
Can I answer, Ridhima?
Okay. Or 20 seconds, RP Singh. RP Singh, 20 seconds.
Thank you. So, an IB report. Oh, I have an IB report. We are just 94, 95. Just give us a little more help and we'll make it through. I don't know.
11 times Amit Shah ji said this. 11 times. Let me show it to you, sir.
Okay. Rashid, let me bring you in. Leaving the... Okay, RP Singh.
Who's the anchor, Ridhima?
RP Singh.
Who's the anchor?
RP Singh, I'm requesting you.
No.
Let me bring it.
Thank you so much.
RP Singh.
Thank you so much.
RP Singh, you've spoken. I'm giving you time. You can.
You are allowing anarchists to tackle the debate.
Let's not behave like this. Let's not behave like this. Priyanka and RP Singh. Okay, Priyanka and RP Singh. Okay, I am requesting maturity from everybody. Rashid has been patiently waiting. Okay. I'll request RP Singh and Priyanka. 1 second. Let me bring in Rashid also. Rashid, keeping this political war of words aside, we're trying to understand what is the pattern that has emerged for BJP to see the kind of numbers that they're seeing, and for the Congress to do a lot of introspection if they still want to be a dominant force or an opposition. What was the Congress's campaign? One, at a time when you're having the Bharat Jodo Yatra, why didn't we see a larger presence of that in the state? Why did we not see the top leadership spend more time in Gujarat, considering the fact that that the BJP is going to go extremely aggressive with it? And then by the end of it, you saw a lot of name calling. You saw the Congress president, Mallikarjun Kharge, compare the Prime Minister to Ravan. All of that has backfired for the Congress in the past as well. So will it now be fair to say that there were no lessons learned?
I think, Ridhima, this is a valid criticism. When the Congress loses, it tends to lose badly, and with the BJP loses, it holds some ground. It held some ground in Himachal. It held some ground in MCD election. So the Congress, there is a greater, need for accountability. There is a Urdu couplet also says कि तू इधर उधर की बात ना कर, तू ये बता कि काफिला लुटा क्यों. And this is something the Congress is not addressing. You remember, Ridhima, that in March 2022, the Congress performed very badly in assembly elections of Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Goa and Punjab. And there was a committee and all kind of things were there. There was the Ashok Chavan committee and other committees were there. But none of these reports or their findings or suggestions or recommendations were followed. In fact, there is a total, at this time, nobody knows where the accountability is at the Gandhi's doorstep or at Mr. Kharge's doorstep. Just one last thing that I want to, Ridhima, elections, whoever loses or wins, it's a very protected, battle of chess. You make a move and there is a counter move. In Gujarat context, as long as Ahmed Patel was alive, he was able to bring in something on the table. This time there is an utter collapse, and of course Mr. Patel is no longer in this world, but there was enough time to find some kind of successor, some kind of effort, and Congress is just gloating over this success in Himachal, but they are not addressing the root cause of problem.
Rashid, but I also want to understand, at a time when we're also discussing how all of this will now give a lot of fillip to the BJP as we go towards 2024, I want to understand what about the Congress's positioning? As I said when I started the show, you need a 10% vote share to even send a leader of opposition. With 17 seats, what is the thinking as far as the Congress is concerned? Or have they completely given up?
Ridhima, if I may rebut.
Lavanya, I'll just come to you. Just Rashid respond. Rashid.
Elections are held and there are social groups who traditionally side with one political party or other. What we are seeing in Gujarat is a total collapse of that kind of equilibrium. And this is something again that, matter of great concern because, communities, social groups, they don't move. And when they move, they didn't move when Mr. Narendra Modi came to power in 2002. They didn't move in 2007. They didn't move in 2012. They didn't move in 2017. Now, if they moved in, big chunk, and this is something with a huge cause of worry. And just one thing, whenever a third party comes in, Congress tends to lose that in that state. It happened in Odisha, it happened in Bengal, it happened in UP, it happened in Bihar. I can go on mentioning. So, is Gujarat going to be another state? It happened in Delhi, it happened in Andhra, it happened in Telangana. So these are the things. The Congress cannot just, bury it under the carpet and saying that, no, this is Mr. Kharge's problem or this is Sonia Gandhi's problem. I mean, they just keep deflecting.
Lavanya, is the Congress just deflecting? Because today the Aam Aadmi Party is saying, look how much we've achieved in 10 years. We're now replacing the Congress Party as the dominant opposition. Look what we've done in Punjab. Give us a couple of more years and we'll replace the Congress in other areas as well.
Well, Ridhima, when the previous speaker was talking about deflection, my point is nobody talks about how Modi magic doesn't work in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, or be it in Punjab, or be it in Himachal Pradesh, or be it in Delhi. They will only talk about, hey, you know what, Congress is not taking responsibility for its defeats. Congress is taking responsibility for its defeats. Having said that, Ridhima, I look forward to discussions wherein, now that they have won Gujarat with a huge mandate, historic mandate, that we will all request the BJP to send Bilkis Banu's rapists and murderers of children back to the jail and the guy responsible for the Morbi Bridge collapse back to the jail. This is my expectation from BJP government in Gujarat. I hope we will have discussions, debates about that in future, about administration of BJP.
Yeah, and this is where I want to bring Premchand ji back in the conversation. There is no taking away from the mandate that is being given by the people and the numbers that are reflecting for the BJP. But since, you understand Gujarat better than any of us do, you've been on the ground, you've spoken to voters, what about the key issues still for the BJP as far as unemployment, as far as inflation? How are those issues being addressed?
Yes, the issues are very much there. In social indicators, Gujarat is not doing very well. That is a matter of concern. Then see, if you see, BJP got 52% votes, so 48% voted against the party also. So there is a lot of dissatisfaction among some sections of society in Gujarat, but BJP benefited because of the weak leadership of opposition to raise those issues. There was hope when Naresh Patel was to join Congress, and we also thought that Congress could get a decent number of seats this time with Naresh Patel's leadership, but he refused. So that's again this speaks about Congress leadership. They couldn't keep him with themselves.
Yeah.
They had him there again. There would have been some respectable seats Congress would have got.
RP Singh, I'd like to give you the final word. Now that the mandate has been given once again back to the BJP, what are the promises that you're making to the people of Gujarat? What about issues that have been raised as far as the opposition is concerned? Inflation, the economic indicators, unemployment. What is the guarantee that the BJP today is giving as we look forward?
Well, all those issues related to Gujarat will be tackled, whether it's unemployment. Inflation is a worldwide issue, but still we are doing much better than many other countries. You also know that. But coming to political part of it, let's understand Gujarat has shown a message or has given a message for countrywide that yes, BJP can hold their bastions and then do well in their bastions, and is also that our leaders contest head-on. Unlike Congress, where I really doubt Congress is still trying to stay as a political party. They are gradually trying to convert as a NGO, led by their advisor to the Mr. Rahul Gandhi. So we'll appreciate that they will come out of slumber and work as a good opposition. One. Secondly, there's another party which is a Pied Piper party, which comes and sells dreams, but they don't have any ideology.
You can't let him have the last word now.
Okay.
Anarchism can't go. You can't help without being anarchist.
This is not anarchy, sir.
Let's not indulge in
I
name
want
calling.
to speak now.
Doesn't let us have a healthy debate. No. Priyanka and RP Singh. I'll request both of you. 1 second, Priyanka. Priyanka, I already said it before. But you also guys have to listen to what the anchor is saying. If you want to talk about two of yourselves, then you can do a separate chat. Okay.
He can't control his
1 second. RP Singh, I request you to refrain. Do not indulge in name calling. Make your point. Sir, I'm running out of time. The viewer also doesn't understand anything.
You are urban Maoist anarchist.
RP Singh, it doesn't help anyone. Make your point.
This is what you do.
You are not here for a civilized debate. You are not fit for a
RP
civilized
Singh,
debate.
do you want to make your point? I'm running out of time.
Urban Maoist anarchist.
Zero argument.
RP Singh, do you want to make your point? I'm running out of time.
You just come and sell fake dreams. You come and sell fake dreams.
Solution on inflation, sir.
You
What
come
is
and
the
sell
solution?
fake dreams.
Talk about that rather than name calling.
You are an urban Maoist anarchist.
Okay. I would request all the spokespersons to refrain from indulging in name calling. That is not what a healthy debate looks like, and we don't end up making any concrete point either. RP Singh and Priyanka, I've completely run out of time. As we said, a clear mandate has been given by the people of Gujarat to the BJP. What does this mean going forward? Will we see a revival of the other opposition parties, or is there no opposition today in Gujarat? That's the larger debate. Unfortunately, I've completely run out of time. I would like to thank all our guests. We're slipping into a very short break, but don't go anywhere. We're coming back with what Twitter's files have exposed as far as part 2 is concerned.
I'm going to say I am a law-abiding citizen. I am more. I will respect all the acts. I will respect all the laws. What is there useful by stating statements only?
As far as the Motor Vehicle Act is concerned, the Central Motor Vehicle rules declare that olive green should not be used for any motor vehicle other than the military army vehicles. That is very clear. Second, we have to first see whether this vehicle is bought, the chassis is bought as a goods vehicle or as a passenger vehicle. So we will have to verify all these things, whether this thing can be registered. If so registered, what is the way the owner wants the vehicle to be registered. It cannot be registered as a bus or something. It should be registered as a camper van.
All right, now I'm crossing over to CNN News 18 Swastika Das to get us more. So Swastika, essentially a war of words in Andhra Pradesh. Can you tell us more about Pawan Kalyan's political plans?
Well, Aisha, Pawan Kalyan is set to take a statewide bus yatra and a campaign trail in Andhra Pradesh starting January next year. This is what his tentative proposal is. And he is gearing up for the big elections in Andhra Pradesh in 2024 and also campaigning for the BJP ahead of the Lok Sabha election. Janasena is in alliance with the Bharatiya Janata Party in Andhra Pradesh, and he has also been making steady effort in stitching an alliance between the TDP, Janasena, as well as the BJP in a bid to bring back TDP into BJP's coalition, NDA's coalition. And this is something which has now become extremely prominent, with Naidu also making the same overtures to the BJP. But it remains to be seen whether Naidu can come back into NDA's fold. But Pawan Kalyan has been instrumental in doing that. What Pawan Kalyan essentially intends to do is come up with a combined force to take on Jagan Mohan Reddy in Andhra Pradesh. He says Jagan has looted Andhra Pradesh in the name of welfare schemes. The actual beneficiaries are not getting any benefits, and he's on a mission really to go and counter all the false propaganda being put forth by Jagan Mohan Reddy.
All right, Swastika, I want you to stay with us. We are now being joined by Mr. Vishnuvardhan Reddy of the BJP. Mr. Reddy, thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. The breaking development is that the YSRCP has lashed out at Pawan Kalyan, saying that his election vehicle violates the Motor Vehicle Act. How do you see this entire war of words?
Yeah, good morning. I think first of all, Mr. Pawan Kalyan is our Andhra Pradesh BJP, one of the election partners and one of the familiar artists, especially in South India and as well as Pan India. Is Pawan Kalyan ji, in last 8 years, is having a political party. 2019 is a contesting JSP, Janasena and other communist parties collaboration. After defeated, he is also there joining BJP alliance. Now there Andhra Pradesh, a lot of corruption, lot of undemocratic activity. They are directly, indirectly, they are supporting under YSRCP leadership. Particularly next 18 months in Andhra Pradesh election battle is also there coming. All political parties is also even ruling political party via Jagan Mohan Reddy also last 3 days back they are conducted one big rally. He's also announced upcoming 18 months their election is came. We are also ready to election battle. Same similar time in Bharatiya Janata Party as well as Janasena is also they are ready to their field level activities is going on. Particularly Bharatiya Janata Party recently we are conducted in national level. BJP also their appreciation regarding Praja Poru is called 300, 400 street corner meetings. We are conducting 6,000 to 7,000 in last month. I think as well as in Janasena also they are ready to moving in public their failure of YSR Congress Party. Unnecessary YSR Congress Party leaders and particularly some ministers, every day they are criticizing Janasena and Janasena activities. It is not correct. If here really development is there in YSR Congress Party, why they are upright, why they are every day they are destructing other opposition political party activities. Even Janasena Prachara Rattam, what they are called in vehicle, that is also they are unnecessary, they are creating trouble. If in case of Janasena, they are using some colors, especially their defense people, they are using their unnecessary colors. They are using, that is the matter will take the transport ministry, transport department, transport officials. Why the YSR Congress Party former minister Nani yesterday they are claiming and they are commenting and criticizing that vehicle. For the total this scenario, YSR Congress Party 2024 election they are not fighting battle in field level. Why? Because it's a lot of corruption and as well as also financial drashti in Andhra Pradesh. Assurance also there, YSR Congress Party there, what they are given in 2019 election promises also, they are not fulfilled. Even unemployment is also high. Today is one of the accidentally, parliament they are given the clarification. Highest petrol price in our country, one and only state in Andhra Pradesh. Second place like Telangana like that. Why they are YSR Congress Party, they are not commenting like this one? Even particularly in Andhra Pradesh, YSR Congress Party, day by day they are losing.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Let's talk about the other big story that we want to bring to you this evening. Elon Musk's Twitter takeover has not been short of controversies. Adding to the list now is what is being called as the exposure of truth at Twitter, called Twitter Files. Interestingly, this is being exposed by Elon Musk himself. Now, these Twitter files show decisions that have been taken by some Twitter executives to suit a certain narrative and agenda. If part 1 was all about Hunter Biden, part 2, which was put out on Friday, talks about the platform's much talked about shadow ban policy. The thread, which was put out by an independent journalist, says that some Twitter teams worked to reduce the reach and visibility of certain pro-right-wing accounts in the United States. Part 2 reveals how some conservative accounts, including that of a talk show host and even a Stanford University's anti-COVID lockdown advocate, were targeted for suppression by Twitter. But these claims against the microblogging site aren't really new. If you go back to 2018, at that time Twitter's Vijay Gade, who was then the head of legal policy and trust and even the head of product, had in fact refuted similar allegations when they said, and I'm quoting, "We do not shadow ban and we certainly do not shadow ban based on political viewpoints or ideology," end quote. On Friday, the expose said that the group that decided whether to limit the reach of certain users was in fact called the Strategic Response Team Global Escalation, which handled as many as 200 cases a day. Revealing the names of the members in the secret group, the expose said the secret group included the head of legal policy and trust, Vijay Gade, the global head of trust and safety, and the subsequent CEOs as well, so Jack Dorsey and Parag Agarwal. However, many have already pointed out that these so-called exposés do not really reveal anything new. Twitter's former head of products has also replied to this thread which has been put out, saying the company never shadow banned anyone. What they did was de-amplification of certain tweets, and he's calling all of this manufactured drama. So the larger question is, what Elon Musk is doing, is this just pure business or is this actually a cleanup? Let me quickly bring you up to speed of what did we see in this part 2, which was put out by this independent journalist Barry Weiss. First, it went on to say teams of employees build blacklists. It also further went on to say it disfavored tweets prevented from trending as well. Then the visibility of the accounts and the trending topics was actively limited as well. Shadow banning, active visibility filtering became a reality. Filtering enforced by a strategic response team, and I gave you the members of that team as well. Rank and file level moderation as Twitter policy. We control amplification of your content quite a bit. But many are now saying this really isn't the first time. So let's now talk to you about some voices which have in fact been targeted by Twitter. And this is what we've seen in this part 2 as well. First one, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. Who is he? He's not a political person. He's from Stanford. He argued that COVID lockdowns would harm children. He was placed on the trends blacklist. The tweets won't trend at all. Target 2. Dan Bongino, a right-wing talk show host, slapped with search blacklist, which means the tweets will not be searchable. Target 3. Charlie Kirk, conservative activist, account set to do not amplify. The most interesting is this, libs of TikTok. They were only retweeting tweets. Accounts put on trends blacklist, designated do not take action without consulting the others. And there are many others like Shaya Rashid, huge following, but 6 suspensions in 2022 accused of hateful conduct. So the larger question that we're asking is, are many dark truths and agendas, do they stand exposed now with the kind of Twitter files that have been put out on the microblogging platform? Let me also now bring in our guest to take this conversation forward. We have Dr. Human David Himati, science author and commentator. We also have Dr. Makar Khan, who is a professor, JNU and political commentator. Good to have both of you on the broadcast with us. Dr. Himati, I'd like to begin the conversation with you. There was a lot of interest as far as these exposés were concerned. But today we saw one very interesting name, which was of Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. Now, he was not a politician, was not aligned as far as any political party is concerned. Why do you think his tweets were suppressed?
Dr. Jay Bhattacharya is a prominent physician, statistician, epidemiologist, and researcher at Stanford University. And when the COVID pandemic began and when the lockdown proposals and the actual lockdowns happened, what Dr. Bhattacharya and several of his other colleagues wrote was a document called the Great Barrington Declaration, in which they proposed and in fact almost insisted that they focus the protection on those who we knew were at risk, the elderly and people who were sick and immunocompromised, rather than shutting down all of society to try to prevent people who weren't at risk from getting the virus. And what happened was this was completely against what the government's narrative was in the United States, as well as many other parts of the world. And the people in power really felt threatened, and they couldn't engage in a debate with him. They didn't want a debate. Rather, they chose to silence him so that his voice, as well as the voices of his colleagues who were in complete agreement, were suppressed and not heard, so that the voice of the government was really the only voice available.
I also want to understand from you, when the suppression happened, looking back, how dangerous do you think it was to suppress a voice of science? Because I thought science involved a lot of debate. So once you suppress the voice of science at a time when we were dealing with such a strange and dangerous pandemic, how dangerous was it looking back?
It's impossible to exaggerate how dangerous this actually was, because medical science, as you said, is the product of discussion and, in fact, open debate. And when there's only one side, especially at a time when it was early in the pandemic and we had no information, right? When things were continually evolving every single day, that was the time at which it was really essential for there to be multiple voices, especially prominent voices from Stanford faculty member who was actually an expert in this exact area. And so when we suppress people who are actual experts, who spend their lives studying this and understanding these sorts of phenomena, that's really dangerous, because this is not just simply a political issue. In fact, it is not a political issue. Public health should be depoliticized and really be focused on science rather than any political factors. Unfortunately, the politicians hijacked this conversation and said it is either our voice or no voice. And for many years, that's what they did.
Dr. Makarand, I want to bring you in the conversation as well. And I just want to kick things off by understanding, is this Elon Musk being a businessman? Because this is what he said on day one, that I'm here to make money. Or do you think this is a cleanup that was required?
Well, it's both. Making money is not a crime. And if you buy a platform for 44 billion, you don't want to lose money. He was losing, I think, something like 400 million a day. So let's not say that if you want to make money, it's bad. But the cleanup was absolutely necessary to restore confidence. In fact, I want to go a step farther. We've been talking about the two Twitter files, the two sets of revelations, the latest by Barry Weiss. The earlier one was on Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
But I think all paid content should be properly labeled, because people should not be deceived. You described the former Twitter, legal policy, trust and safety, person, Vijaya Gade. Trust. She's supposed to induce trust, and you can't trust them because they're mislabeling everything, and they're influencing public opinion, sometimes falsifying information. This is very dangerous. But I want to put it in context. What I wanted to say was that this is just the tip of the iceberg. Media bias. In fact, there are slant indexes. This has been documented for decades now. There have been books and papers on this. And we know, by and large, I want to bring it back to politics just for a moment, because, public health and politics cannot be divorced.
True.
Look at all the stuff that Dr. Fauci put out, a lot of it was shown to be so contaminated. Apparently, he had his own interests in that Wuhan lab. So what I'm trying to say is the greatest safeguard of democracy is the free flow and availability of reliable information, because the public needs to be informed. And whenever you sledge that and try to suppress things and influence people in a certain way, it's really very dangerous. And let's not forget, in India too, Cambridge Analytica, they were trying to find the formula to really win elections or defeat people whom they found, as it were, unacceptable, including our present Prime Minister. And I can assure you, Ridhima, as we come closer to the 2024 general elections, this barrage of political misinformation, targeted, you might call it weaponized information against particular dispensations or parties or politicians or ideologies is only going to get amplified, because without being conspiracy theorists, we have to see this huge nexus.
Yeah, but this is where the criticism is also coming in, and I want to bring in Dr. Himati back in the conversation. What do you say to critics who are saying that, you're seeing a very micro picture? We still don't know the extent. We still don't know all the names who were part as far as the suppression or restriction is concerned. And also to the kind of defense that we've seen from Twitter officials in the past, that this is not shadow ban. This is just de-amplification.
Look, I think this is exactly what our other guest has said here. This is the tip of the iceberg here. We have a lot more to see, and I think we're going to begin to see that trickling through over the next several weeks or even months. Elon Musk is a very smart businessman. He's doing this, A, to expose the censorship, and B, remember, he spent a lot of money purchasing Twitter. He has an obligation to his shareholders as well as himself, who went in on this deal, to bring up the value of Twitter, to increase its value by increasing trust in the system, by drawing views to the platform and encouraging people to utilize it. By releasing all the information all at once, he's not going to achieve that. It does him a lot more benefit. It does all of us actually benefit as well, to have this information come out over time so it can be thoughtfully analyzed and really put into context. So I think I would expect that over the next several weeks and months, we're going to see a lot more coming out. What we saw coming through yesterday is simply the very beginning. Those are some of the more egregious violations. But if they have data like that on just a handful of individuals, imagine how much they have on people not only in the United States, but perhaps around the world.
Absolutely.
As well as
and that's got a lot of interest back here
of,
in India as well, where people are now demanding that there should be an India version of the Twitter files as well. But Dr. Makarand, what I'm essentially trying to understand, one, of course, we did see Jack Dorsey also urging Elon Musk to put it all out now and put it all out together. But I find it difficult to believe that it will happen like that as far as the monetary aspect is concerned. But I want to understand two things from you. One, Elon Musk also kind of shielded Jack Dorsey when he said there was a lot of information that was hidden possibly from you as well. Is it a possibility that this entire group was working in a silo and the CEO didn't know what was happening? Because the kind of names that we're looking at, you even have the FBI now having access as far as these lists are concerned.
See, I am very uncomfortable with such, what should I say, defenses, because if you're the CEO and you don't know what's happening in your company, that actually shows you to be a bad leader. I think it's an evasion of responsibility. As the popular saying goes, the buck stops with the person in charge. And you earlier said, non-amplification versus shadow banning. Potato, what are we talking about? This is just verbal juggling to get away from something that was, I would say, malign and malicious and needed to be exposed, because it's really a matter of deception. You're deceiving the public. You are claiming to do something and you're doing something entirely different. You have an agenda, and it's motivated, it's ideological, but perhaps worse, it's bought, it's commercial. You have fake handles, you've got propaganda. I just want to tell you, I've started teaching, my new MA course, and it's amazing. These young people who are all 21, they are all reading George Orwell. I said, what did you read in the last couple months? Everybody's reading, 1984, Big Brother's watching you, surveillance, data mapping, big data mining, AI. Young people are very conscious of how they're being manipulated.
Yeah.
So in that sense, what Musk is doing is really important. And we need to do this kind of cleansing.
True.
We have to take
That's an important point that you're making as far as accountability of even the platform is concerned. We also have Pawan Duggal, cyber law expert, also now joining us. Pawan, what I want to understand, this again brings us back to the accountability as far as the platform is concerned. Now, of course, we're talking about Twitter as pre-Musk era and post-Musk era. So, what is the accountability as far as the microblogging platform itself is concerned? Shouldn't there be a mechanism where if your account has been shadow banned or restricted, it should automatically notify the user, which of course hasn't happened in past cases?
Clearly, Twitter is hiding behind the statutory exemption from legal liability that it actually gets under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act in the US. It says it's a US company, it's governed by US laws, and the US law guarantees that they cannot be held liable for any third-party data. But the moment you come to a country like India, where they're governed by the Indian Information Technology Act 2000, you quickly realize that the government is trying to make them more accountable in the sense that they will have to potentially show the exercise of due diligence before they can actually claim any statutory exemption from legal liability. But what's currently coming out is skeletons out of the cupboard. And these skeletons are only telling us that not everything is hunky-dory, not everything is as sacred on these platforms as we think it is. And therefore, there's a need for far more accountability, transparency, and responsibility that's required from these platforms. Unfortunately, these platforms have had a long period of honeymoon under the legal frameworks, including under the Indian cyber law. But I think that's honeymoon coming to an end. It's time for them to realize the writing on the wall, that the quicker they're able to be more transparent, more accountable, and more responsible, the more they're going to benefit in terms of having more users and also having a bigger market share.
True. Dr. Himati, I want to bring you in and I want to talk to you about the other criticism that is coming in where many are saying that, today you're saying that right voices have been muzzled, but we don't even know the amount of left voices that were possibly included in this list as well. Because if we're working with the assumption that it was just the secret group that was working and the CEO himself also had no idea, then who knows what were the kind of voices that were involved in this list?
Exactly. I wanted to come in on what Mr. Duggal was saying also.
I was actually acting Dr. Himati, but go ahead. I'll get to him in just a bit. Go ahead.
Sorry. I just wanted to say one little thing because I myself was deplatformed and for 2 months I was shut out and I never found out why. Actually, they asked me to verify my account, re-verify. I had the blue tick account.
Okay.
And I gave my telephone number and I never got the OTP. And believe me, there are forms to be filled. There's no human being at the end of any tunnel. Nobody is responsible. You keep filling forms. You keep giving evidence. It took 2 months for them to sort it out.
So if we're saying part 2 was just tip of the iceberg, Dr. Himati, I'll give you the final word. What do you think we can see in part 3 then?
Part 3, it remains to be seen. I think what we've seen thus far is evidence of government getting political voices being silenced. I think we've seen evidence of, this is US government, we've seen evidence of Twitter internally censoring people who have political views and different views on COVID. I think we have yet to now see evidence of foreign government involvements outside the United States. I'm certain we'll see that. I'm certain we'll see evidence of the US government directly ordering Twitter to suppress certain voices regarding COVID. So some of what we see coming out last night from the Twitter files, we're probably going to see some government involvement. And I would bet that we're going to eventually go down a path where we see evidence that there was government involvement in censorship, not only on Twitter, but across many other platforms. Don't forget, Twitter was only one of multiple different social media platforms. This includes YouTube, this includes Facebook, so many others. And what we know for fact is that many voices, just the same voices, in fact, were being suppressed across all these social media platforms. these platforms were not owned by the same entities. So
True.
how did that happen?
Yeah.
There's a common thread, and that common thread is not only a political one, but
Yeah.
it also points to where these platforms are based, which is in the United States.
I think
So
that's
there's
a very
high
important point that you're
likelihood
making.
that
Not
we'll
just
ultimately see
political
that.
voices, not just restricted to the United States. So will we see other regions being involved in the lists and the exposes that will follow? Unfortunately, completely run out of time. I will have to leave the conversation there. I'd like to thank all our guests. With that, it's a wrap from my side. Zaka is up next with Prostax.
Good evening, this is Brastax. I'm Zaka Jacob. It has been a phenomenal and a historic victory for the BJP in Gujarat. Not just the fact that it's going to be the 7th term of one party ruling in one state. The only comparable example is that of the Left Front in Bengal, which ruled for 34 years. At the end of this current term, the BJP would have been in power in Gujarat for a good 32 years. But what is even more staggering about this verdict is, as the Left Front's mandates reduced with a period of time, and particularly in the last 2 terms, when Buddhadev Bhattacharya was Chief Minister, it had become a pale shadow of the earlier self. In the BJP's case, their mandate is only increasing. The mandate that was given to Bhupendra Patel yesterday was the highest that not just a BJP government has seen in Gujarat, but the highest that the state has ever seen. So, what explains this huge, this mammoth, this historic victory? Number one. Number two, can this be extrapolated to other states? And number three, was the Aam Aadmi Party playing spoiler in what was up until now a 2-horse race between the BJP and the Congress? That's how Gujarat's politics has been for the last 3 decades at least. But first, the story.
मैंने वादा किया था कि भूपेंद्र नरेंद्र का रिकॉर्ड तोड़े, इसलिए नरेंद्र जी जान से मेहनत करेगा। और गुजरात की जनता ने तो रिकॉर्ड तोड़ने में भी रिकॉर्ड कर दिया, सारे रिकॉर्ड तोड़ दिए।
All right, so what was it that the BJP managed to do in Gujarat in 2022, which it could not in 2017? Remember, 2017 was an aberration election. It was the floor as far as the BJP was concerned. Go back and check. The BJP was down to double digits in 2017. All right, the marker is not popping up. But what it managed to do over the last election, that is in 2022, was to try and win back all those sections that it had lost in 2017. In 2017, the Patidars had gone away from the BJP. The tribals had gone away from the BJP. Look at Saurashtra in particular. Saurashtra was an area where out of 58 seats, the BJP was down to just in its 20s back in 2017. This time around, out of those 58 seats, the BJP got more than 45. When you dominate a part of Gujarat like that, again, in southern Gujarat, where it made up for the losses in 2017, the losses in Saurashtra it made up for in southern Gujarat. The other region where it really lost in a big way was in north, in Mehsana, Patan, Sabarkantha, Banaskantha, where the BJP maxed out its gains. Out of the 30-35 seats in that northern belt, the BJP got more than 25. And like I said, this was a 2-horse race up until the 2017 election. What changed in 2022 was the fact that it completely brought in this new entrant. So there were 35 seats where the Aam Aadmi Party finished second. 35 seats, if you add 17 to that 35, that takes the Congress to 50.